Welcome to Year 3-4 Grammar. All you're going to need for today's lesson is a pen or a pencil and a piece of paper. And just a quick reminder, you can pause this at any point if you would like a little bit longer to write something down or a little bit longer to answer a question. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be recapping topics that we've already previously looked at. The topics we previously looked at are adverbial phrases, how we would punctuate a sentence, sentence types, and noun phrases. The first one is adverbial phrases. So what are adverbial phrases? They are a part of a sentence that show you how somebody does something, when or how often something happens, or where something happens. So let's see whether you can identify some in a sentence. So I'm going to give you 3 sentences and let's see whether we can identify them. The boy completed his work in a flash. I interrupted my mum's meeting every 5 minutes. And she was putting her bag in the wardrobe. Let's quickly pause this and see whether you can identify it. So I would write the sentence out and underline where my adverbial phrase would go. Okay, so in the first sentence it would be in a flash because that is telling you how he has done it. In the second sentence, every 5 minutes because that is telling you how often. And then finally in the last sentence, in the wardrobe because that is telling you where she is putting her bag. What I would like you to do now is I would like you to write a sentence of your own for each different type of adverbial phrase. So just a quick reminder, they are how somebody does something, when or how often something happens, or where something happens. Next one we are going to look at is how we would punctuate a sentence, so the different types of punctuation we would use. The punctuation we might use in a sentence would be capital letters, and they're used for proper nouns or to start sentences. Full stops, they're used to end sentences, which are statements and some commands. Exclamation marks, which are used to end sentences, which are either an exclamation or some commands. Question marks, they're used to end sentences, which are questions. Commas, they're used to separate two related main clauses in sentences. Okay, so the first one is capital letters. So that, like we said before, they are used to start a sentence which is a proper noun. So we're going to look at some examples here. So it was sunny outside this morning. The I in it would change to a capital letter because it is the beginning of our sentence. And then in our second one, yesterday Jack thought it was a nice day. Yesterday needs a capital letter because it's the start of our sentence, and Jack needs a capital letter because it is a proper noun. Now we know that, let's see whether we can do one of our own. So my sentence is, the lion roared as Jack looked into his enclosure. What I would like you to do is rewrite my sentence with the correct capital letters in the correct places. Okay, our capital letters will go right at the beginning in the, because that is the start of our sentence, and then change the J in Jack because that is a proper noun, so that is his name, so that would need a capital letter as well. Next one. When or how do we use full stops? So they are used to end sentences which are statements. So here's an example. The giraffe looked at the beautiful water in front of him. I've put my full stop right at the end because that ends that sentence. That is just a statement. Let's see whether we can do that now. So, the animals were all planning their plan was to escape. So I've got 2 sentences there. See whether you can find out where I would put my full stops. Okay, so I've put a full stop after planning and then a full stop right at the end after escape. So my sentence now reads as, the animals were all planning. Their plan was to escape. Okay, 2 short, simple sentences that need full stops between them to make them make sense. Next one, exclamation mark. So when would I use an exclamation mark? So they're used to end sentences that are exclamations or commands. So here's an example here. What a beautiful day. It's an exclamation because it's telling you how amazing that day is, and it's using exclamations sometimes start with how or what. Let's look at an example here, see whether we can find out where the exclamation mark would go. Leave him alone. Where do you think the exclamation mark would go in this sentence? The exclamation mark would go right at the end of our sentence because it would end our sentence off. Next one, question marks. Where would my question mark go? So question marks are used to end sentences which are questions. So here's an example. Where are you going? They're asking the animals in the zoo. Let's see whether you can work out where my question mark will go in this sentence. So the sentence is, do you think this will work? Where will the question mark go? You can pause it, write the sentence and put it in the correct place. My question mark will go after work because that ends our sentence and that is their whole question. So do you think this would work? Question mark, because that ends their question. Final one for this section is commas. So they can be used for a number of different reasons, like lists and to disseminate adverbial phrases, but we're going to use them to separate main clauses within a sentence. So example would be, the light was on all the animals so they couldn't escape from the zoo. I've put my comma in there between animals and so because that separates the two clauses within my sentence. Let's see whether you can put it in the correct place in this next sentence. The animals tried to escape the zoo, but they were caught in the act. Where would the comma go in this sentence? So the comma would go after zoo and before but, because that separates the two clauses within my sentence. So then it would read as, the animals tried to escape the zoo, but they were caught in the act. What I would like you to do now is I would like you to write a sentence using each piece of punctuation, okay? So here's the reminder of how we would use all the punctuation, so you can pause this while you do that quick activity. The next things we're going to look at is different sentence types. So the 4 sentence types we would have are questions, which is where somebody asks something, and as we know from before, they ended a question mark. Statement, where they just tell you a fact, opinion, or an idea. A command, it's where they tell somebody to do something, and they usually use an imperative verb, so a bossy verb. And then finally an exclamation, which is a forceful statement which usually shows excitement, and they usually do start with what or how. So use the picture to write a statement. So write me a statement that says something about this picture. An example you could have is, he loved to play games on his Xbox. It's a simple statement about this picture. The next one we're going to try and do is we're going to try and write a sentence using this picture that is a question, okay? So try and think of a question that you could ask about this picture. An example that you could use is, where is he running? So try and write one of your own. Next one, we're going to use this picture to write a command. What might you command somebody to do if they were in a house like this? An example that you could use is, get out of the building now. It's got that imperative verb in there. Try and write another one that uses that picture. And then finally, we're going to use this picture to write an exclamation. So example that you could use is, how amazing is Superman? It uses that how and it expresses a strong feeling like exclamation should, and it does end with an exclamation mark, so to remember that punctuation in there. Try and write an example of your own. Alright, quick activity I would like you to do for these is I would like you to write a sentence of your own using each of these sentence types, okay? So without the pictures to help you, try and think of one of each. So the 4 that you're going to try and do is a statement, a command, an exclamation, and a question, okay? Remembering that correct punctuation that we've looked at. Final one, noun phrases. So what is a noun phrase? Noun phrases are a group of adjectives which are used to describe a noun. So an example would be, the new pink bike belongs to Bethan. So new pink bike would describe the bike, so that would be our noun phrase, okay? So let's have a look at a few examples. So we're going to try and identify them now. The glistening white snow smothered the ground around it. What would be the noun phrase in my sentence? So write it out and underline the noun phrase. Let's see whether you agree. It would be the glistening white snow, because glistening and white describe the snow, so that's our noun phrase in this sentence, okay? See whether we can do another one now. The girl couldn't remember where she had parked her sparkling new car. She thought she might have left it under the old abandoned bridge. So there's more than one noun phrase in this pair of sentences now. See whether you can find them both. Let's see whether you're right. Okay, so sparkling new car, because that describes the car, and then old abandoned bridge describes the bridge, so they would be our pair of noun phrases in this sentence. Okay, so well done if you got those. Right, can you write a sentence using the noun phrase for this picture? So I'm going to give you an example, see whether you can write another one. So the giraffe curled her long spotted neck around the other animals. So I've used long spotted to describe the giraffe's neck. See whether you can think of another noun phrase for this image. Next one, I've got a picture of two lions talking. Let's see whether you can think of a noun phrase about these two animals, what they could be doing or what they might look like, and then I will give you an example. So an example you could have used is Dave, the older lion, showed off his new wavy hair to his pride. So new wavy hair is the noun phrase I have used. What noun phrase could you use in yours? Finally, the activity I would like you to do now is to write 3 sentences using noun phrases where you don't have the images and you're thinking of them yourself. You could use objects around your house or things you might be able to see out the window to help you. So just a quick reminder what noun phrases are. They are a group of adjectives that describe a noun. So my example right back at the start was new pink bike. So that would be my example of a noun phrase. Write 3 sentences using them. Okay, well done. Thank you for listening.